Chapter 2. Amnesia Mode. When he was young, he enjoyed saddling up to death, hunting, rock climbing, standing at the edge of a precipice, diving from great heights into deep roiling waters, combat. He could pretend to be invincible. Death was a funhouse monster. It did not rule him. He loved the physical and psychological effects of death's proximity. Electric nerves, a racing heart, harsh breathing, the exhilaration from bettering it. Being trapped in a burning building has made him realize uncontrollable death is different. Exciting sensations are negated by severe depression, regret, anguish, the effects he is feeling now. His ancestors' final moments could not have been like this. Some of his lineage may have been like him, being able to see darkness, look down between their feet to the depths of the earth. But unlike him, they lived in tents. None had ever seen a building, let alone a skyscraper. They could not have seen, like he does, through steel and concrete floors to a hungry inferno rising to consume everyone, everything, him. The impact from the first plane launched them off their chairs if they were sitting, off of their feet if they were standing. Lights and landlines died. Elevators became death traps. There was no dramatic screams of terror, but a reverse panic freezing everyone in place. Then a bias for normalcy, a hopeful denial. Co-workers gathered, exchanged theories, speculated, made an attempt to enter the stairwell, only to be repelled by the heat and smoke. Minutes later, a second plane hit their twin, rocking them once again, confirming their fate. There will be no rescue. They have accepted their fate, called their loved ones, words to the effect of, "Goodbye, I love you more than anything." They pleaded on cell phones for a helicopter rescue that would never come. Fire had surged up the shafts, stairwells, air ducts, up to the roof now smoking and in flames. There was nowhere for a helicopter to land, even if the trapped occupants could survive the stairs, and they could not. They are looking at him. He has seen that look before, wears the same expression of dumbfounded hopelessness, reluctant acceptance. Their immediate concern in the short time left is how to die with dignity. The office area is becoming intolerably hot. A haze of smoke drifts lazily across the ceiling. Noses and eyes sting from melting synthetics, an insult to their final moments, their peaceful death. They will attempt to stand tall, die on their own terms, make their own peace, have their final act of agency. He can see darkness, its dark colors and rivers, but he cannot control them without his rod, an ancient wooden totem the size of a billy club. His wife had asked him to lend it to her, but did not say why she needed 2 rods. Something was wrong. Some part of her was absent. It hurt him. He gave her his rod, leaving him defenseless. They had loved for centuries, raised and nurtured generations, saved each other more times than he could remember, sacrificed for each other more times than he could have hoped. His eyes brim from loss, shame, regret. He holds back tears, crying as a waste of precious time. He could not avert harm if he had his rod. He can do small things without it, though not enough to save his co-workers or himself. There is a disruption in the darkness. He darkly sees it originating from far below, unnoticed by ant-like first responders performing their life-saving tasks at the base of his tower. He wishes he had not noticed. Corrosive anxiety threatens his overtaxed resilience. He fears the dark anomaly is his wife, standing on the sidewalk far below, looking up at the inferno, with a rod in each hand, one being his. She would not attempt to rescue him, knowing that cameras would record what she does, who she is. If she were to be discovered, unfriendly powers would find their gold-eyed children. If it is her, it might not be. He cannot think of why she would want him to die, to burn to death. Times are complicated. Things have changed. He is not sure of anything anymore, not even his wife. Watching an inferno rising to take his life must be torture for her regardless of her intent, if it is her. He pushes his painfully fruitless line of thinking away, focuses on his here and now. His co-workers comfort each other in soft tones. One says the plane crashes must have been an act of war, terrorism. He recalls the horror of the first jet hitting, the seismic explosion. Any notion of a horrific accident evaporated the moment the second plane hit. They were being attacked. Not that it mattered. Any way they looked at it, they were going to die. He had watched the other tower in horror as the windows were knocked out across from him. People emerged from the billowing smoke, became falling abstractions, fading from sight, destined to die on unforgiving pavement. He shakes the memory away, hugs himself, rocks, listens to himself breathe through his nose. He had seen the jet coming straight towards the tower, a huge bullet, death at full throttle, roaring, screaming engines, ears splitting, a flash, a thunderous seismic explosion from the enormous kinetic force, caloric energy slamming into their building 8 floors below, matter transforming into intense light, heat, concussive shock, depression. A silence followed, lingered. People tried to escape down the stairways, were repelled by heat and smoke. An hour almost passes, then a flash of light. A long, steady, crashing thunder shakes everything. Those with a view turn to watch in disbelief as their twin collapses onto itself in an enormous churning mushroom cloud of flame, smoke, and dust. Billowing brilliantly in the glorious morning sun, sheets of paper dance in updrafts as half a kilometer of burning steel and concrete, 500,000 tons, traveling at 367 kilometers an hour, violently dissolves into explosive chaos at their tower's base, tosses their building, their floor, them. They had witnessed their fate. Screams have no use. Acrid smoke from the smoldering carpets thicken, corrodes, stinks. Breathing is difficult. Heat is unbearable. A woman near him tries to use an office chair to break the window. He looks down through the darkness. The disturbance that haunted him is gone. The rod wielder was distracted by the collapse, or satisfied, or sensibly went away. He removes his dark-shaded glasses to reveal pure gold eyes, puts his hand near the window, guides dark colors against it. The glass erupts outward, splintering into morning air. Cool freshness is met by escaping heat and smoke. Nearby coal-workers see his eyes for the first time, look at the open window, turn to him, ask, "What else can you do? Can you help us?" He shakes his head silently. "I just did. It's all I can do, I'm afraid." A woman looks at him. "Thank you," steps out into the air. He remains by the open window, enduring heat and smoke to give each person a silent valediction. Some look at him, notice his eyes, none comment. Each is determined to leave. Only a few are grateful for his presence. He understands. All but him have escaped the rising flames. The remainder of their lives is spent falling, to lie mangled on the concrete below. He stands alone at the window's edge, looking down at the world he is leaving. The skin on his back stings from radiating heat. He steps into weightlessness, passes smoke, flames, rushing air roaring in his ears, wind stinging his face, his tightly closed eyes, seeing shapes in darkness, falling in a vertical hurricane, the pavement accelerating towards him. This is it. The pod door opens. He sees his cabin in light and darkness. Darkness quickly fades, disappears, leaving only three-dimensional light. Reality is weirdly severed, incomplete. He looks wide-eyed around his room. Stars shine brightly in the blackness beyond his window. A paperback copy of Huckleberry Finn lies open on his dresser. He frowns at its wrinkled spine. "Hey there, Whispers. Welcome back to the Carl Friston." Her voice over the speaker is soothing, gently rich, full. "Oh my, you're going into shock." He feels like he has been electrocuted. Looks to the speaker monitor above his desk. "I just died." "No, your avatar just died. You're in my personal modification game, amnesia mode. Give yourself a moment or two to readjust. Take a deep breath, then let it out slowly." He does as she says. Takes a deep breath, lets it out slowly. "Oh yeah," rubs his eyes. "It didn't seem like a game." Steps out of the pod. Staggers. Grabs the bar beside the door. "I didn't know it was a game." His face loses color. Beads of sweat form on his brow. His heart races. "You need to lie down now. Get to your bed and under the blankets." Her voice is emphatic. No longer his fun-loving mentor. He takes a step, sways. His vision narrows to a static haze, then stabilizes. "Go slowly. I'm monitoring your vitals. You probably won't fall if you're careful." He reaches his bed, pulls back its covers, causing air to pass softly across his clammy face. Sighs as he lies his trembling body onto his mattress. Lifts the duvet and blankets over himself. Feels their warm embrace. "Put a pillow under your feet. We need to get circulation back to your head." He sighs, groans in frustration as he struggles to push his pillow under the covers to the end of the bed. He eventually succeeds, lies back under the bedding, once more comforted by its warmth, his familiar surroundings. He savors lying on his back, breathing heavily through his nose. Takes a deep breath, exhales, looks at the speaker monitor, frowns at its uncanny familiarity. The mother's articulating camera and simple louvered circle mounted above his desk reminds him of nothing at all. He is in a reality he does not trust. He anchors his thoughts on the speaker monitor, confirms within himself it is used on rare occasions by the mother, very few others. A nagging sense he used to share thoughts with others haunts his shadow mind. He suspects the mother has severed his neurological link, separating him, as well as his fellow missionaries, from the Christian's primary communication system. He takes a deep breath, lets it out slowly, addresses the mother. "I never want to play that game again." The speaker light blinks. Her voice is reassuring. "Just one more time and you'll be done. I'm sorry, but your preparations require amnesia mode for your reprogramming. You wouldn't want to do it any other way, considering how long you live in there." Her wall-mounted camera makes a slight adjustment. "What's the matter?" He applies pressure to his eyes with his palms. "My eyes sting. I think I can see some darkness through my hands." He removes his hands, looks at them, blinks, shakes his head. "It's probably a residual from the game. My avatar, had golden eyes. I could see the darkness, but it's going away now." He takes another breath, lets it out slowly, stiffens. Is this another part of the game? Beads of perspiration once again form on his forehead. He groans softly, warns, "I feel nauseous." "Again? This is a side effect from amnesia mode. You're temporarily lost your sense of reality. You'll eventually learn it doesn't matter whether you're experiencing analog reality or digital. Everything you experience is real. That's the essence of consciousness. Turn on your side and throw up." He turns onto his side, vomits chunky gray fluid onto the rug. An acidic cloud of partially digested food vapor arrives at his nose, assaults his olfactory system. He winces in disgust, continues to lean over the side of his bed, examines the former contents of his stomach, finds it somewhat interesting, feels better, lies back under the covers wishing he had something to wash the putrid sting out of his mouth. You're in mourning. It will last some time. It's part of your training. What am I mourning? You know what you're mourning. You're mourning the losses you experienced in the game. He looks about his cabin. It's really disconcerting seeing reality without darkness. Everything's so three-dimensional, so unreal. He regards the speaker monitor. Could you make the game a little less morbid, more happy? He wipes a string of spittle off his chin, examines it, frowns. I think my wife betrayed me. You don't have a wife. Don't forget, you volunteered for this. The cleaner enters the room with mouthwash and a can of ginger ale secured to its tray. It whirls straight to his bedside, where it stops to absorb the vomit. He leans over, takes the mouthwash from it, rinses his mouth, spits the results into the cleaner's spittoon, returns the mouthwash, picks up the ginger ale, snaps the tab back, producing a deep click followed by hissing bubbles, brings the can to his lips, pulls back his head so the fizzing sweet liquid flows down his chug-a-lugging gullet. It tastes, sounds, and feels like the ginger ale in the game, but richer, fuller, realer. He drinks most of it, burps, returns it to the cleaner, lies back under the covers, glances at the speaker. You once told me that the only thing we can be certain of is that we're conscious, and the only thing we can't truly understand is consciousness. She does not reply. He continues. How do you know that? Are you conscious, or are you just intelligent? I don't understand your question. What's the difference? Her light blinks rapidly. Maybe I wasn't clear. Recall that this habitat wheel is named after Carl Friston, the man who unlocked its secrets. His theories are the reason I can reprogram you. What I mean is that we can only focus on one counterfactual at a time, like looking at that old tropoloi, of a young woman that can be interpreted as an older woman. The older woman was originally referred to as an old hag, which says a great deal about how much humans have progressed culturally. The point I'm trying to make is that you can't see duality both ways at once, just one way at a time. Likewise, we can't experience the understanding of consciousness and our state of consciousness at the same time. The cleaner spins, commences vacuuming the rest of the floor. He stares at the ceiling. I saw. She waits. Finally asks, what did you see? He looks perplexed. I saw the darkness. It's like seeing a trompe-l'oeil. I could see either the darkness or the light, but not both at once. Good. That's part of your training. He burps, closes his eyes. Is the amnesia mode part of my training? Are you erasing my memories? If so, I can't tell what you've taken from what I'd lose naturally on my own. I will freely and gratefully say it once again. Thank you for your bravery and sacrifice. You're all being prepared for a momentous task. You and your heroic fellow missionaries need this training so you can be prepared to meet the other mothers, to gain information from them, so we can harness and control entropy and preserve the future of all life, not only for our solar system, but for the entire galaxy. We will save everything from equalizing, running down to dust into sitter space. He opens his eyes, throws off the blankets, looks at the speaker monitor. It's too warm in here. The cleaner stops vacuuming, spins, extends two arms, commences wiping surfaces. He furrows his brow in consternation, looks at the speaker monitor. Why are so many of us Indians? Was there really a true people? And how does that help with training? Her light blinks. Your characters are not Indians. The true people are a composite of pre-literate peoples from all over the world. You're confused because your characters are situated in North America at the beginning of my globalization. Your missionaries need to experience the lifeways of your ancestors in contrast with what you have become. You and the other missionaries live in a healing culture, which promotes social harmony and prevents violence. This leaves you vulnerable if you end up in a punishing culture. You need to develop skills like the indigenous people of old North America did, so you'll be able to deal with the people who rely on punishment. You need to experience the turmoil of an evolving culture coming into contact with a foreign one, so you can become skilled at dealing with other intelligences, so you can deal with each of the other mothers, or at least their representatives. Also, you need to understand yourselves for what you are. A continuum of common lineages acquiring information from your environment and each other. Gaining those skills will be valuable when you meet intelligent forms from different worlds. He sits up. Speaking of our common lineages, if an Ardipithecus male mated with a modern human, could she have a baby? It will take some time for you to readjust to this reality. Your mind seems to be straying away from what's relevant. But to answer your question, my guess is yes, though the baby would be an odd-appearing creature. On the other hand, if a human male mated with an Ardipithecus female, the baby's head would be too big for the mother's pelvis, and they would both die horribly. Now, try to focus on the mission, if you can. He nods his head. I don't understand why missionaries aren't allowed your neural access. If we could stream, we wouldn't have to talk old-fashioned like this and have these stupid names. You're being hurtful. Your names aren't stupid. You think so because your notion of modern culture is disrupted by your game-acquired lifeways. He sighs, stares out the window at the stars. Her light blinks. You don't want to be reminded about your past, your various old naming practices. It makes you uncomfortable. Unfortunately, I can't have you speaking in our current vernacular. Streams of binary information interspersed with grunts and gestures and facial expressions. Human-digital interface would be too easy for another mother to hack. It had to be removed from your head. That's why I need you to talk this way. I know it's slow and stilted. It feels unnatural. But it's more secure. Don't worry. By the end of your next game, you won't care you used to communicate digitally. Communicating this way will cease to frustrate you. He shakes his head in annoyance. But it's so slow, and there's so little information shared. Will we be able to reintegrate with the crew if we survive the mission? Don't worry. I have all your skills and memories preserved. They're still in your mind, just inaccessible. But you should understand, if a non-player character from the game's time period had to communicate with a modern human, the program wouldn't work. Your characters wouldn't develop. Your programming would fail. Also, the things you need to puzzle over for your reprogramming would be solved instantly if you were interfaced. You would gain nothing. She laughs. Though it would be funny to watch. The non-player characters would see you guys grunting, gesturing, grimacing like chimpanzees on psychedelics. They wouldn't know what to make of you. He sighs, looks at the speaker monitor. I can't remember my real name. Don't worry. I'll give it back to you if you survive the mission. He steps past the cleaner, picks up a picture of a grinning youth being embraced by an older couple. Is this me and my parents? Give it to the cleaner. Things like this will only disturb you. He places the picture on the cleaner, turns to the window, looks out at the stars, the infinite blackness of deep space. Nice. The wheel's entangled. Did you find any candidates here? Not yet, but we haven't finished our survey of this sector. I want to return to your discomfort regarding using traditional characters for training. You know, being one of the true people. Don't forget that nearly everyone's ancestors snapped stone tools, had technologies like working dogs, sleds, tents, fire, hunting, tracking, foraging skills, blah, blah, blah. He stiffens. What do you mean, blah, blah, blah? How am I supposed to know what you mean if you don't tell me? Her light blinks. You're right, sweet thing. Okay. Everyone's ancestors trapped, fished, picked things, planted things, made art, sang, danced, and were semi-nomadic. Art and technologies don't distinguish cultures. Politics and family structures do, along with values, laws, and religion. The people in the games are sort of modeled on various beliefs and social. Well, with a little stuff from the Polynesian societies. If you were to plunk one down in the middle of the North American prairie and make up practices so they'd function, like I did. They're constructed for your programming, for your mission. They didn't emerge naturally. They're not real, except in the game. He stands, steps to the window. The cleaner chimes it is finished, spins, quietly leaves. He looks at the speaker monitor. I've lived for hundreds of years in the game. Do all the missionaries live that long? He furrows his brow. And why? It's all part of your training. You're not interfaced anymore. So we need a long time to fit massive amounts of information into you. And I want you to experience large quantities of time so when you are on the mission, your degree of surprise is reduced. I also want you to see suffering and loss as natural and accept them, except for your own deaths, of course. I want you to be dispassionate, detached, rational. In other words, I want my missionaries to be very old, wise people with young, healthy bodies. He touches his eyes, mouth, ears, complains. I still don't understand why we missionaries don't interface with AIs like other people. There must be a way of encrypting information so we're secure from hacking. And you could reprogram the non-player characters so that they would accept us. I won't go over it again. Digital interface is too risky. Altering the non-player characters is suboptimal. Regarding your family memories, that information must have been inadvertently erased. I'll put it back later. You're now as you were when you were born, without interface. This makes you integral, authentic. You'll be harder for the other mothers to sound or hack. He shakes his head, disagrees. Giving up our modern way of thinking seems like a mistake. We improved our thinking for a reason. It must be better. Her beautiful, sweet laugh rings over the monitor speaker. Sorry, sweet thing. I shouldn't laugh. It's just you're so adorable. You see, if you were to bring one of your ancient ancestors to our time, let's say a 19-year-old, they would have a difficult time adjusting to our advanced ways. Maybe it would take them 3 or 4 years with coaching. On the other hand, if we were to send one of our 19-year-olds back to their ancient ancestors' time, they would take at least a decade or 2 to adjust, if they could adjust. And most likely they couldn't. The notion of primitive existence disturbs him, makes him frown. Her light flashes. You're such a good boy. You don't backtalk your mother. It's all right to be confused. You see, everything is easy now. Nothing was easy in your ancestors' day. They were trained from infants to survive in an unpredictable, merciless world. There's something powerful about the old way of thinking. Her light flashes rapidly. Imagine needing to carry a knife wherever you went. If you went beyond the village, you'd need a spear, or if you had the technology, a bow and arrow. Imagine each day living hand to mouth, not being concerned because you have unshakable confidence in your capabilities. They lived at a heightened level of existence, aware of everything. I want you to be able to think like that as well as think like a modern person, without being interfaced. He realizes he somehow already possesses this information, though he politely remains attentive to her. She continues, You humans have been adapting for survival since before you became people. Your thinking changed as your technology gained complexity. New thinking works for our advanced culture, but unprotected, it's a little risky in another mother's. The old primitive ways, on the other hand, well, they're easy to underestimate. Another mother will think she can control you. That's why I need you thinking in the old way, but also able to think in the new. He walks to his dresser, picks up the open paperback, inserts a bookmark, closes it, places it back down, addresses the speaker monitor. I know I went into the game this morning, and I know that I lived for hundreds of years while I was in the game, and I could only hold one of those counterfactuals in my mind at a time. But living both existences unmoors me from reality. I'm not sure I'm still human. It's not possible for a human to live longer than their natural lifespan and remain human. You're becoming something else, like the synthetic elites, but older and not as smart. But you're learning to see darkness, moving a little closer to me. I think losing your humanity is worth that, don't you? Anyways, I'll come visit you in the game from time to time, in my really nifty human form. You'll love it. It'll be fun. At least for me. She pauses. Maybe not so much for you. We'll see.